Hello friends, today is Janmasthami, the day when Lord Shri Krishna was born. It is an auspicious day and I thought I should also do something auspicious today. So today I am chanting the Bhagavad Gita, the second chapter, and I will also read the meaning of this shloka. And I hope such an exercise will be really beneficial to you all. Now, before we begin the second chapter, we should understand that under what situations the Bhagavad Gita was given. The Bhagavad Gita was given in a battlefield to Arjuna, and Arjuna was confounded, was confused about what is the purpose of his life, whether he should fight or become a monk. And Lord Shri Krishna gave the entire meaning of a human life in the Bhagavad Gita. And if you are a spiritual seeker, if you want to understand what is the purpose of human life, then Bhagavad Gita is the guide that can help you. So without much ado, we will begin the second chapter. And I'll just mention to you that in the first chapter, Arjuna displayed extreme sadness. And that is why it is also known by the name of Arjuna Vishada Yoga. And in the second chapter, in the first chapter, Arjuna spoke, and in the second chapter, Bhagwan Shri Krishna speaks. So now let's begin. अतः द्वितीयो अध्यायः सांख्योग संजय उवाच तं तथा कृपयाविष्टमश्रुपूर्णाकुलेक्षणं विषीदन्तमिदं वाक्यमुवाच मधुसूदनम्. I'll read the explanation from this beautiful book, Bhagavad Gita by Swami Shivananda. To him who was thus overcome with pity and who was despondent, with eyes full of tears and agitated, Madhusudana, Lord Shri Krishna, spoke these words. Shri Bhagavan Uvac, Lord Krishna speaks. कुतत्सवाकश्मलमिदं विषमे समुपस्थितम् अनार्यजुष्टमस्त्वर्कीर्ति कर्मर्जुनम् क्लैब्यमास्मागमापार्था नेत्युयुपपद्यते शूद्रं हृदय दौर्बल्यं त्यक्तोत्तिष्ठा परन्तप. So Lord Krishna is speaking this to Arjuna. He's saying, whence is this perilous strait come upon thee, this dejection which is unworthy of you, disgraceful, and which will close the gates of heaven upon you, O Arjuna. So Lord Krishna is saying to Arjuna, Arjuna, what you are doing is not worthy of you. You are a great warrior. And Lord Krishna is saying you should fight. And then in the second shloka, Lord Krishna says, yield not to impotence, O Arjuna, son of Pritha. It does not befit thee. Cast off this mean weakness of the heart. Stand up, O scorcher of the foes. Arjuna is a great warrior, the greatest warrior that is there, and he was the best archer, and still he was dejected. But Lord Krishna is exploring here. Arjuna, are you doing this out of impotence, or are you really weak, feeling weak at this time? Then he is saying, Arjuna, gear up. And then Arjuna says to Krishna, Katham Bhishmam Sankhe Dronam Cha Madhusudana Ishubhi Pratiyot Swami Puja Harvari Sudana. Then Arjuna is saying to Lord Krishna, O Krishna, it's not out of importance, but how can I fight in battle with Bhishma and Drona, who are fit to be worshipped, O destroyer of the enemies? Lord Arjuna is saying, O Lord Krishna, Bhishma, who is my grandsire, and Drona, who is my guru, they are like gods. How can I fight against them, O Arjuna? O Bhagwan Shri Krishna. Then Arjuna further says, Gurunu hatva hi mahanubhavan shreyu bhaktu vakshma piha loke hatvarth kamastu guru niheva bunjiya bhogan rudir pradigdan. In the shloka, Arjuna further says, better it is indeed in this word to accept alms than to slay the most noble teachers. But if I kill them, even in this world, all my enjoyments of wealth and fulfilled desires will be stained with their blood. Arjuna is saying, I don't want to kill my teachers. I will rather beg rather than killing them. And then he further says, Na chetadun kataranno gariyo yada jayem yadi vana jayeyu yaneva hatwana jiji visham stevastite pramukhe dhatra rashtra. I can hardly tell which will be better, that we should conquer them or that they should conquer us. Even the sons of Dhritarashtra after slaying whom we do not wish to live, stand facing us. Karpanya doshopahat svabhavam prachwami tum dharma sammuna cheta yacheham sannishritam bhuvitam me shishyasteham shadimatam prapannam. Arjuna at the same time realizes that Bhagavan Shri Krishna is full of wisdom, and it is Bhagavan Shri Krishna who is God himself, and therefore he says to him, "Oh Krishna, I cannot take any decision right now. You please help me." The shloka says, "My heart is overpowered by the taint of pity. My mind is confused as to duty. I ask thee, tell me decisively what is good for me. I am thy disciple. Instruct me, who has taken refuge in thee." So Lord Krishna is being taken as a guru by Arjuna. And it is this confusion which Bhagavad Gita seems to address. Now Arjuna further says, "Nahi prapashyami mamapanudya yakshokamuchoshan indriyanam avapya bhumava sampannam raddam rajyam suranam api chadhipatyam." I do not see that it would remove the sorrow that burns up my senses, even if I should attain prosperous and unrivaled dominion on earth or lordship over the gods. Arjuna is saying, even if I get everything of this entire universe, I will not fight against my grandsire, and I don't see that will lead to my happiness. And then Arjuna became silent. And then Sanjay, who was noticing everything, told, "Eva mukta hrishike kresha gula kesha parantapa na yotsa iti govind muktva tushni vabhuvaha." Having spoken thus to Hrishikesha, Arjuna, the destroyer of foes, said to Krishna, "I will not fight," and became silent. And then Krishna speaks, "Tamuvacha Hrishikesha prahasanneva bharata senyoryu bhayo madhye vishidantam idam vacham." Now Krishna is going to speak, but Arjuna has already said to Krishna, "Oh Krishna, O destroyer of foes, I will not fight," and he became silent. Now Bhagavan Shri Krishna will speak, and he will give the fundamental meaning of life. One of the best knowledge that is going to that can be given will be given in the following shlokas. So let's continue. Ashocha. Now Bhagavan Krishna speaks. "Ashochanam vashochatsvam pragyavadansh bhasase gatasuna gatasusham nanusochanti pandita." In a way, it can be said that the real Bhagavad Gita starts from this shloka. Krishna says, "Thou hast grief for those that should not be grieved for, yet thou speakest words of wisdom. The wise grieve neither for the living nor the dead." Krishna is saying, "Oh Arjuna, you are speaking like a wise man, but a wise man never displays sadness or is never sad. Na tuevaham jatu nasam, na tuam neme janadhipa, na chaivam na bhavishyama, sarve vayamata param." Nor at any time indeed was I not, nor thou, nor these rulers of men, nor verily shall we ever cease to be hereafter. Krishna is saying, it's explanatory, self-explanatory, but Krishna is saying that we are all immortal. And then he further says, "Dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yavanam jara tata dehanta prapti dhirastatra namuhati." Just as in this body the embodied soul passes into childhood, youth, and old age, so also does it pass into another body. The firm man does not grieve thereat. So Lord Krishna is saying that this human body grows old, but the soul is unaffected by all this. Matra spashastu kanteya sitoshna sukha dukkhada agama paino nitya statik shasva bharata. The contacts of the senses with the object, O son of Kunti, which cause heat and cold, pleasure and pain, have a beginning and an end. They are impermanent. Endure them bravely, O Arjuna. Yam hina vidhanyete purusham purushashabha sama dukkha sukha dhira somratatvaya kalpate. And Krishna further says, That firm man whom surely these afflict not, O chief among man, to whom pleasure and pain are the same, is fit for attaining immortality. Now, Krishna gives the supreme secret and the supreme goal to a human being, and that is attaining immortality. The Vedanti says that we are already immortal, but to realize that, Krishna says, if you can just do one thing, you are immortal. If you are treating pleasure and pain as one and same, if they don't affect you, then you are fit for attaining immortality. Sama dukkha sukha dhira somritatvaya kalpate. Krishna proceeds further. Na sato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sata. Ubhyorapi drishtostavan tattva darshibhi. That the unreal hath no being. There is no non-being of the real. The truth about both has been seen by the knowers of the truth. The changeless, homogeneous Atman, or the self, always exists. It is only solid reality. This phenomenal world of names and forms is ever changing. Hence, it is unreal. The Seja or the Jivan Mukta is fully aware that the self always exists and that this world is like a mirage. Through his Jnana Chakshus or the eye of intuition, the sage directly cognizes the self. This word vanishes for him like the snake in the rope after it has been seen that only the rope exists. He rejects the names and forms and takes the underlying essence of all the names and forms, viz. Asti Bhati Priya or Satchidananda or existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute. Hence, he is a Tattvadarshi or a knower of the truth or the essence. What is changing must be real. What is constant or permanent must be real. So Lord Krishna beautifully says, Nasato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sata. The unreal is never existing. And there is no non-being, and the real thing is always existing. And then he says, Avinashi tu tadviddhiyena sarvam mitam tatam. Vinasham avyasyaste nakashit kartum arhati. Brahman or Atman pervades all the objects like ether. Know that it to be indestructible, by which all this is pervaded. None can cause the destruction of that, the imperishable. Lord Krishna is talking about the Atman, that Atman always exists, it can never die. Antavanta ime deha nityas yokta sharirini anashino aprameyasyam tasmadudarsya bharata. These bodies of the embodied self, which is eternal, indestructible, and immeasurable, are said to have an end. Therefore, fight, O Arjuna. Krishna directly says that this human body that you are wearing will die, but the soul will always remain. Ya enam venti antaram yashenam manyate hatam ubhatona vijanito nayam hantina hanyate. He who takes the self to be the slayer, and he who thinks it is slain, neither of them knows it slays not, nor is it slain. Na jayate mriyate va kadachin nayam bhutva bhavati va na bhuyam ajo nityam shashvatoyam purane na hanyate hanyamane sharire. It is not born, nor does it ever die. After having been, it again ceases not to be. Unborn, eternal, changeless, and ancient, it is not killed when the body is killed. Lord Krishna further gives the qualities of the Atman, that the Atman is never, never, ever, is always eternal, it is changeless, and it is ancient. What is going to change, what is full of change will die someday. But Atman is changeless. But the body is changing. And therefore, body is not Sat. Because Sat is what? That stays in all the three times. Veda vinashanam nityam ya ena majmavayam katham sa purusham partham kam gati adihan hantikam. Whosoever knows it to be indestructible, eternal, unborn, and inexhaustible, how can that man slay, O Arjuna, or cause it to be slain? Krishna is telling Arjuna, O Arjuna, realize, recognize that this soul is eternal. You cannot kill anyone. Because initially, when the confusion of Arjuna started, Arjuna was feeling that I can kill my Bhishma and Drona. But Krishna is saying, no, they can never be killed. Now let's continue to understand. Vasasi jirnani yatha vihayam navani granati naroparani tatha sharirani vihaya jirna nanyani sayati navani dehi. Just as a man casts off worn out clothes and puts on new ones, so also the embodied self casts off worn out bodies and enters others which are new. So Krishna is also giving a statement about reincarnation, saying, Arjuna, the soul is always remaining, but it's continuously keep on changing and taking new bodies. So let's not worry about this body. Then Krishna further talks about the wondrous self that we all are. Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavaka, na chainam kledayantyabho, na shoshati maruta. Weapons cut it not, fire burns it not, water wets it not, wind dries it not. Achedoyam davoyam klogisheshevacha nitya sarvagatam stharunchuloyam sanatanaha. This self cannot be cut, burnt, wetted, nor dried up. It is eternal, all-pervading, stable, immovable, and ancient. So the qualities of the self are being described. It cannot be cut, burnt, wetted, bhigoya nahi ja sakta, not dried up. It is eternal, all-pervading, stable, immovable, and ancient. Avyaktoyam chintoyam vikaroyam uchyate tasmadevam viditvanam nanushochitum arhasi. This self is said to be unmanifested, unthinkable, and unchangeable. Therefore, knowing this to be such, thou should not grieve. Atajanam nityajatam nityam vamanyase mratam tatapi tvam mahabaho nevam shoshitu marhasi. Now, Krishna further says to Arjuna, oh Arjuna, just for a time, if you even think that this Atman is going to die, because some people believe that this Atman is going to die and there is no Atman apart from the body, and the consciousness is created from the neurons of the brain. This is the one of the very popular view even in that time also. And Krishna says, even if you think that jatasya dhruvo mrityu dhruva janma mritasya cha tasmat pariharyate natom shochitum arhasi. Even if you think that the body and the soul is going to die, you should not grieve, because everyone is going to die. For certain is the death for the born, and certain is birth for the dead. Therefore, over the inevitable, thou should not grieve. You should not grieve, therefore. And then Krishna further says, Avyaktadini bhutani vyaktamadhyani bharata avyaktanidnanyeva tatrika paridevana. Beings are unmanifested in their beginning, manifested in their middle state, O Arjuna, and unmanifested again in their end. What is there to grieve about? Lord Krishna is further again talking about the self, that initially the soul is without a body, it takes a body in between and then again is without a body. And in this whole pattern, the soul always remains the same. It picks up a body and leaves it, just like we discard our old clothes in the same manner. So Krishna is giving the secret of supreme secret of life to Arjuna, and then he says, he talks about again about the self. Asharvat pashyati kashyidenam asharvat dudri tatheva chanyam asharvat chen manya shrunoti shridvapyena vedana chaiva kashyit dehi nityam avaddoyam dehe sarvasya bharata tasmat sarvani bhutani natam shochitum arhasi. One sees the self as a wonder, another speaks of it as a wonder, another hears of it as a wonder, yet having heard, none understands it all. So the self is so amazing, and it is not completely possible to understand it by hearing. You have to experience it, because the word cannot convey what the self is. And Krishna here talks about the beautiful self that we all are. Dehi nityam avadyoyam dehe sarvasya bharata tasmat sarvani bhutani natvam shochitum arhasi. This, the indweller of the body of everyone, is ever indestructible, O Arjuna. Therefore, thou shouldst not grieve for any creature. Again, Krishna says that this soul is indestructible. which is residing in the body. Therefore, we should not grieve for anything. Swadharma picha vekshya na vikampitum arhasi dharmyadri yuddhacheyo nakshakriyasya na vidyate. This is a very beautiful shloka. This is also one of the most famous and also favorite shloka of Shri APJ Abdul Kalam. Further, having regard to thy duty, thou shouldst not favor, for there is nothing higher for a Kshatriya than a righteous war. So we should all follow our Swadharma. And the Swadharma of Arjuna is to fight. The Swadharma of a student is to study. The Swadharma of a doctor is to save lives. The Swadharma of a train driver is to drive a train. It is a beautiful concept of Swadharma. We can understand this further. Yadrakshayachopapannam swargadharma pavratam sukina kshatriya partha labante yuddhamidrisham. Happy are the Kshatriyas, O Arjuna, who are called upon to fight in such a battle that comes of itself as an open door to heaven. Atah chetumimam dharmam sangramam na karishyasi tata swadharmam kirti chahitva papam avapsasi. But if thou wilt not fight this righteous war, then having abandoned thine own duty and fame, thou shalt incur sin. Akirtim chapi bhutani katishyanti te vyayam sambhavitasya cha kirti maranadatiricyate. The self is most beautiful, but now Lord Krishna is talking about the secular aspects of life, because right now Arjuna is in the secular aspects. He has not fully understood what a self is, and therefore Krishna is talking about the secular aspect. When I say secular, I mean the material aspects of life. Krishna is saying, but if the word will also, people too will recount thy everlasting dishonor, and to one who has been honored, dishonor is worse than death. Bhayadranadhuparandam masyante tvam maharata yesham cham tam bahumuto bhutva yaksati lagavam. A lot of people are going to think, Arjuna, that you are just giving up the battle because you are too afraid to fight. And this is, I know it is not true, but this is going to be spread in the word. The great car warriors will think that you have withdrawn from the battle because of fear, and that you will be lightly held by them who have thought much of thee. And the people who have thought so much about it, you will be felt very light. Avachivadanshu bahun vadishyanti tavahita nindanastva samartam tato dukturunokim. The enemy is also cavilling at thy power, will speak many abusive words. What is more painful than this? Hato va prapsasi swarga jitva va bhokse mahim tasmaduttishta kaunteya yuddhaya dhritinshaya. Slain thou will obtain heaven, victorious thou wilt enjoy the earth. Therefore, stand up, O son of Kunti, resolved to fight. Even if you die, you will get heaven. And if you win, you will enjoy the earth. Therefore, O my dear Arjuna, please fight. Sugam dukkham same kritva labha labho jaya jayo tato yuddha yujjusva naivam papam avapsasi. Having made pleasure and pain, gain and loss, victory and defeat the same, engage thou in battle for the sake of battle, thou shalt not incur sin. The Lord Krishna is giving a beautiful concept about how a man accumulates sin. So you only accumulate sin when you want to get something. But if you are guided by the public good, then even if you by mistake commit some crime, you will not incur sin. Esham te hebite sankhe buddhi yoge tvamam shrunu buddhya yukto yaya partha karma bandhan prahasyasi neha vikarnashosti pratyavayo na vidyate swalpmapasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. This which has been taught to thee is wisdom concerning Sankhya. Now listen to wisdom concerning yoga, endowed with which, O Arjuna, thou shalt cast off the bonds of action. How can you cast the bonds of action? This Lord Krishna is going to say to Arjuna. Neha vikamna shosti pratyavayo na vidyate swalpmapasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. In this, there is no loss of effort, nor is there any harm. Even a little bit of this knowledge protects one from great fear. Such a beautiful shloka, which says, Swalpamapasya dharmasya trahate mahato bhayat. So even if you remember a little bit of this knowledge will save you. Vyavasayatmika buddhi reke guru nandana bahushaka hanantasya buddhayo vyavasayinam. Yamimam pushpitam vacham pravadanta vipashrita vedavadarta partham nanedastiti vadinaha. Here, O joy of the Kurus, there but a single one-pointed determination. Many branched and endless are the thoughts of the irresolute. Flowery speech is uttered by the unwise, taking pleasure in the eulogizing words of the Vedas. O Arjuna saying there is nothing else. So Lord Krishna is talking about that a lot of people believe that they want to get to heaven and enjoy the pleasure, and there is nothing apart from the wife, from this. And there were also prevalent some yagyas. You do this yagya, you will get this in heaven, etc. Lord Krishna described them as little bit inferior, that he described this behavior as inferior. So basically, Krishna is going in the direction of you should work, but without the desire to get something. You should work not for happiness, but out of happiness. Kamatmanam swargapara janma kalma palapradam kriya vishesh bahulam bhogeshwar gati prati. 43rd shloka. And Krishna says, full of desires, having heaven as their goal. These people, they are basically going to new births as the result of their works and prescribe various methods abounding in specific actions for the attainment of pleasure and power. So people want pleasure and power, and they have desires, and it is these desires which let the Atman, which is unmanifest, be born again, be manifested again. Bhogeshwar prasaktanam tayapahat chetasam vivasayatmika buddhi samadho na vidhiyate. For those who are attached to pleasure and power, whose minds are drawn away by such teaching, that determinate reason is not formed, which is steadily bent on meditation and samadhi. So those basically who are clinging to power and pleasure cannot have steadiness of mind. They cannot concentrate or meditate. They're ever busy in planning projects for the acquisition of wealth and power. Their minds are ever restless. They have no poised understanding. Now in this shloka, it seems Lord Krishna is describing our present generation and our present state of life. Raigunnya Vishya Veda Nistraya Gunyo Bhava Arjuna Nirdvando Nitya Sattvasto Niryoga Shema Atmavan. The Vedas deal with the three attributes of nature. Be thou above these three attributes. O Arjuna, free yourself from the pair of opposites and ever remain in the quality of sattva. Freed from the thought of acquisition and preservation and be established in the self. So there are three gunas, sattva, rajas and tamas. They make us do a lot of things. Lord Krishna is saying that Arjuna, be established in sattva. Sattva is without any desires, and when you are established in the self, sattva is goodness. So when you think about others, you are in sattva. Yavanartha utpane sarvatta samplutodake tavan sarveshu vedeshu brahmanasya vijanata. To the Brahmana who has known the self, all the Vedas are of as much use as is the reservoir of water in a place there is flood. So Krishna is further saying that he's right now giving a hint that there is one beautiful state which has been attained by Ramakrishna Paramahansa, by Raman Maharshi, by a lot of enlightened beings. And in that beings, you get so much knowledge that for you, then the Vedas are just like a glass filled of water. However, there is knowledge all around. Yavanartha utpane sarvata samplutodake tavan sarveshu vedesu brahmanasya vijanata karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karm phalehitu brumate sangostava karmani. In the 47th shloka, Bhagavan Shri Krishna says, again, this is a so famous shloka, karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karm phalehitu brumate sangostava karmani. Thy action, thy right is to work only, but never with its fruits. Let not the fruits of action be thy motive, nor let thy attachment be to inaction. So Krishna is saying to Arjuna, oh Arjuna, do not hanker for fruits. You are anyways going to get the fruits, but do not hanker for them. Do not go behind the fruits. Your attachment, however, this should not mean that you should even give up action. So you should continue to work, but without the expectation of fruit. You will automatically get the fruit. But if you want peace of mind and you want liberation from sin, if you want liberation from being born again and again, then, oh dear Arjuna, you should do not have attachment to inaction. Yogastha kuru karmani sangam tattva dhananjaya siddhya siddho samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. Lord Krishna is saying, what is yoga? He's saying, perform action, O Arjuna, being steadfast in yoga, abandoning attachment and balance in success and failure. Evenness of mind is called yoga. Lord Krishna is saying, what is yoga? Evenness of mind is called yoga. So a lot of people think that yoga is some asanas. This is not completely true. Yoga is a state when your mind is even. When you treat pleasure and pain as one. Dhurenam havaram karmam buddhi yoga dhananjaya buddho sharanam vanvincham karpana phal hetava. Far lower than the yoga of wisdom is action. O Arjuna, seek thou refuge in wisdom. Wretched are they whose motive is the fruit. So in this shloka, Lord Krishna is saying you should always be established in the yoga of wisdom. You should not hanker for fruits. Buddhi yukto jahatiye ubhay sukrit dushkrite tasma udyoga yujjvasa yoga karmasu kaushalam. Now Bhagavan Krishna gives the second definition of yoga. Endowed with wisdom, one casts off in this life both good and evil deeds. Therefore, devote thyself to yoga. Yoga is skill in action. Karmajam buddhi yukta hi phalam tyaktva manishani janma bandham vinirmukta padam gachantanameyam. The wise possessed of knowledge, having abandoned the fruits of their actions and being freed from the fetters of the birth, go to the place which is beyond all evil. Yada te mohakalilam buddhi vedikarishyati tada gantasi nirvedam shrotavyasya shrutasya cha shruti vipratipanna te yadastya satinishala samadhavasla buddhistada yogam vapsyasi. When the intellect crosses beyond the mire of delusion, and then thou shalt attain to indifference as to what has been heard and what has yet to be heard. When thy intellect, which is perplexed by the Veda text, which thou hast read, shall stand immovable, and steady in the self, then thou shalt attain self-realization. Lord Krishna is saying that when the intellect has settled, then you will attain self-realization. Arjuna Vaja, Sthit pragyasya ka bhasha samadhistasya keshava sthit diki prabhashet kimasit vrajet kim. So now Arjuna is very excited. Arjuna has recently learned somebody who is a sthit pragya, who is a jivan mukta, who basically is in a wonderful state. And Lord Krishna is saying this is the goal of human life. Then Arjuna wants to ask from Krishna, he says, what, O Krishna, is the description of him who has steady wisdom and is merged in the superconscious state? How does one of steady wisdom speak? How does he sit? What does he walk? Basically, Arjuna wants to understand how does a man who is sthit pragya behaves. Then Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, Shri Bhagavan says, Prajayati yada kaman sarvan partham manogatan atmanyevatmana tushta sthit pragyasthit dochyate. Dukeshvanu dignam na sukeshu vigadaspraha vitarag bhayakrodha sthiddi munirichyate. When a man completely casts off, O Arjuna, all the desires of the mind and is satisfied in the self by the self, then is he said to be of one of steady wisdom. He whose mind is not shaken by adversity, who does not hanker after pleasures, and is free from attachment, fear, and anger, is a sage of steady wisdom. These are the qualities that Krishna is saying one to have. You can hear these again by going back to the video. या सर्वत्र नाभि स्नेहस्तत्रापि शुभाशुभम नाभिनन्दन्ति नाद्वेष्टि तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता. He who is everywhere without attachment, on meeting with anything good or bad, who neither rejoices nor hates, his wisdom is fixed. यदा संहर्ते चायं कूर्मोगानि सर्वशः इन्द्रियाणि इन्द्रियार्थे व्यस्तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता. When like the tortoise which withdraws on all sides its limbs, he withdraws his senses from the sense objects, then his wisdom becomes steady. Vishya vinivartante niraharasya dehina rasam varjam rasopyasyam param drashtava nivartate. The objects of the senses turn away from the abstinent man, leaving the longing behind. But his longing also turns away on seeing supreme. The beautiful qualities of the Sthit Prajna is being described. Yatatohapi kaunteyam purushasya vipashrita indriyani pramathini haranti prasamam mana. The turbulent senses, O Arjuna, do violently carry away the mind of a wise man, even though he be striving to control them. So Lord Krishna is saying that the senses sometimes even carry the mind of a wise man, but not of Sthit Prajna. Tani sarvani sayamya yukta asit matpara vashehi yasendriyani tasyam prajna pratisthita. Having restrained them all, he should sit steadfast, intent on me. His wisdom is steady, whose senses are under control. Dhyayato vishayan punsam sangasteshu upajayate sangat sangayate kamam kamat krodha vijayate. When a man thinks of the objects, attachment for them arises. When attached from attachment, desire is born. From desire, anger arises. Now Krishna is saying, so how do you fall in love? Basically, so you keep on thinking about that object, and then when you keep on thinking, then attachment arises. And when attachment arises, then a desire is born out of it. You want to possess that thing. And then from the desire, if you are not able to get it, you get anger. And then krodhat bhavati samoham samohat smriti vibram smriti banshad buddhinasho buddhinashat pranashyati. Lord Krishna is saying that from this anger which had arisen from thinking of the object, followed by attachment, followed by desire, and followed by from desire anger came. Now from this anger comes delusion. From delusion, loss of memory. From loss of memory, the destruction of discrimination. And from the destruction of discrimination, he perishes. Raga dvesha vyaktastu vishayan indiyasharan atmavashye videyatma prasadam adhigacchati. But the self-controlled man, moving among the object with the senses under restraint and free from attraction and repulsion, attains to peace. So when a man treats pleasure and pain and has neither repulsion nor attraction to them, then he is automatically already freed and he is actually attains to peace. Now I will read the 65th shloka. Prasade sarva dukkhanam hani rasopajayate prasanna chetaso hashu buddhi paryavatishtate. In that peace, all pains are destroyed, for the intellect of the tranquil man soon becomes steady. Nasti buddhir yuktasya na cha yuktasya bhavana na cha bhavayat shantir shantasya kutah sukham. There is no knowledge of the self to the unsteady, and to the unsteady no meditation is possible. And to the unmeditative there can be no peace, and to the man who has no peace, how can there be happiness? Such a beautiful shloka. There is no knowledge of the self to the unsteady, and to the unsteady no meditation is possible, and to the unmeditative there can be no peace, And to the man who has no peace, how can there be happiness? Indriyanam hi charta yanmanunu vidhiyate tadasyam hariti pragya vayurnami vambasi. For the mind which follows in the wake of the wandering senses, carries away his discrimination, as the wind carries away a boat on the waters. Tasmadasya mahavaho nigritani sarvasha indriyani indriyarthebhyastasya pragya pratishtita. Therefore, O mighty armed Arjuna, his knowledge is steady, whose senses are completely restrained from sense objects. Ya nisha sarva bhutanam tasyam jagrati sanyami yasyam jagrati bhutani sa nisha pashyato mune. That which is night to all beings, in that the self-controlled man is awake. When all beings are awake, that is night for the sage who sees. So basically, Krishna ji is saying that that which is real for the worldly minded people is illusion for the sage and vice versa. The sage lives in the self. This is the day for him. He is unconscious of the worldly phenomenon. They are night for him, as it were. The ordinary man is unconscious of his real nature. So Krishna ji is describing, Lord Krishna is describing the behavior of the man who is awakened. Apuryamanamachal pratishtam samudramapa pravashanti tadvat kamayam pravashanti sarve sa shantim apnoti na kamakami. He attains peace into whom all desires enter, as waters enter the ocean, which filled from all sides remains unmoved, but not the man who is full of desires. Just as the ocean filled with water from all sides remains unmoved, so also the sage who is resting in his own Swarupa or the self is not a bit affected through desires of all sorts, enters from all sides. So basically, Lord Krishna is giving an example that, like an ocean, all the waters come, but the ocean remains silent. But even a small, when a small pebble is thrown in a pond, the pond just loses its peace of mind. Vihaya kamanyam sarvan mupashrita nespraha nirmamo nirangara sashantim madhigacchati. That man attains peace who, abandoning all desires, moves about without longing, without the sense of mind and without egoism. Esham brahmi sthiti partham nena prapye vimuchyati sthitvyasyamantakalepi brahma nirvanam rachyati. This is the Brahmic seat, O son of Pritha. Attaining to this, none is deluded. Being established therein, even at this end of life, one attains to oneness with Brahman. Om Tat Sat Iti Srimad Bhagavad Gita Supnishitsu Brahma Vidyaya Yog Shastre Shri Krishna Arjun Samvade Sankhya Yogo Nam Dutiya Adhyayah. So we just finished the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. It had around 72 shlokas. And we read the shlokas, and we also listened to their meaning. Let us all process this knowledge today. Thank you very much for listening to me. I wish you a wonderful day ahead.